Hello, Max here. I'll walk you through the story plot of the 2021 action western movie, Old Henry. Oklahoma 1906. Brannigan runs for his life away from Dugan, Stillwell, and Ketchum, all wearing sheriff's badges. Despite his best efforts, Brannigan is shot and captured. Ketchum kicks him, wanting to know where the other man they were after is, but Brannigan won't say. Ketchum ties Brannigan to a horse and drags him through the dirt. He finally tells them that the man was headed east. Instead of sparing his life, Ketchum murders Brannigan. In the meantime, Henry McCarty along with his son Wyatt works on their farm. Grown up in New York, Old Henry has been all over until finally settling down as an Oklahoma farmer. His wife died of tuberculosis, but her brother Al often comes over to help around and also raise Wyatt. They enjoy a tranquil life, but what often sparks disputes is Wyatt's desire to travel and learn how to shoot a gun, both of which Henry forbids. One day, they suddenly notice in the distance a lost horse approaching with a bloody saddle and no rider. As Wyatt takes care of the scared horse, Henry rides away to check the surrounding area. Soon he discovers an unconscious guy on the ground. Curry was shot on the shoulder, so Henry swiftly takes care of the wound to save him. But then he locates a gun and a satchel with plenty of money, indicating serious trouble that he really does not wish to get involved in. He decides to leave but hesitates, feeling awful for the man. He returns, collects all things, and after removing any evidence of their presence, he carries Curry back to the farm. Wyatt helps Henry put Curry on a bed and take care of his wound. At night, Henry hides the gun and the money sack in a secret place in his closet, not knowing that Wyatt is watching through the space beneath the door. Next morning, Henry realizes that the wound isn't going to heal unless they remove the bullet. He decides to run to town and get a doctor. He ties Curry to the bed frame and leaves his knife on the nightstand. When Henry is gone, Wyatt checks the hidden compartment in the closet. He finds the money and he takes the gun outside to practice shooting using a bottle that he finally hits. Meanwhile, while sleeping, Curry hears the gunshots and dreams of the burning house where his family was killed and the culprit who told him to keep his head down. Wyatt returns the gun in the closet and curious he opens a very old hidden box of Henry's. He finds another gun and several newspaper clips about various crimes. As Henry rides to town, he finds out that Ketchum and his company have been following Curry's trail. Stillwell, as an expert tracker, realizes that someone covered Curry's tracks, so they know he is working with someone else. When the three hear noises in the tall grass, they shoot, but Henry manages to take off before he is found. In the farm, Wyatt notices the loose rope around Curry's hand, and the other one covered with a blanket. Uncovering the hand, he realizes the rope is gone. Curry finds the chance to free himself. Grabbing the knife from the nightstand, he jumps on Wyatt, threatening him, but he just wants his satchel back. Right then, Henry walks in and kicks Curry off Wyatt. He punches until Curry falls unconscious again. They tie him to a chair and wake him up. Since going to town for a doctor seems too dangerous, Henry uses a hot knife to pull out the bullet from Curry's shoulder while asking questions. The pain makes Curry wriggle and cry, saying he's a lawman and that Henry and Wyatt better leave as soon as possible. Henry removes the bullet, but before further questioning, Ketchum with his men show up outside. As Henry picks up Curry's gun, he smells it was recently shot, so he reloads before stepping out. Ketchum claims to be a sheriff and his partner's deputies, looking for Curry because he is a dangerous killer and also pretending to be a lawman as well. Ketchum is curious of Henry's past and asks more personal details. He gets particularly interested learning his last name is McCarty, since there used to be a criminal with the same name a long time ago. Having no relative or other family with same last name, and without having seen anyone fitting his description, Henry asks the men to leave. As they leave, Ketchum reminds Henry to lock the doors at night. Back inside, Henry slaps Wyatt for having shot the gun. Being the only boy around never taught how to fire a weapon, Wyatt wanted to teach himself and know how it feels like. Henry slaps him again. Wyatt insults his father by calling him worthless, and warns that he'll die alone because he'll leave him as soon as possible. Being hurt from those words, Henry simply returns to interrogate his prisoner. Curry claims to be the real sheriff. The three are bank robbers who killed his deputies and stole their badges. He recovered the money, but when shot in the process, he passed out, fell from his horse and later woke up in this farm. Curry wonders why Ketchum did not assault Henry, but he's certain the three will return. Meanwhile, Ketchum and his partners make plans. Not believing Henry, they speculate he is helping a stranger, probably because he was promised a cut of the money. Dugan thinks they should have shot him since they outnumbered him 3-1. However, Ketchum believes there's something strange here. Not holding the gun like a typical farmer, he thinks Henry isn't doing this for the money. First, they need to collect information. Dugan will spy on the farm while the other two go hire some guns and visit Al. At night, Henry asks Wyatt to stay inside early for safety. Henry feeds Curry some soup, but he complains about still being tied up. To make up his mind, Henry asks him a few questions about his past. As Curry mentions those he has worked and lived with, Henry recognizes names he heard during his travels. Curry apologized for jumping on Wyatt, but he was scared and bewildered waking up in a strange place. Henry reminds him someone, but Henry denies having met before. He decides to free one of his hands. Henry leaves the gun on table and gets up to refill his glass, testing to see what Curry would do. But Curry does not attempt to grab it. He simply continues his storytelling since he was a child, recalling the time he witnessed Billy the Kid get shot. He thinks it's Billy's voice that he heard earlier in his dream. All that finally lead Henry to trust Curry. He frees his other hand, returns his gun, and asks him to leave before the bandits come back. But, suddenly, Dugan begins shooting at them through the window. Curry shoots back and as Wyatt walks in to see what's going on, a bullet grazes his arm. Curry passes out from his wound pain and Henry grabs the gun. But Dugan sneaks underneath the floor shooting at Henry as he moves. Henry has a plan and gives the gun to his son before tossing a book on the floor to trick Dugan while running in the opposite direction. With his rifle now, Henry steps outside and starts shooting under the house at Dugan, who tries to flee but gets shot in the leg. Henry tackles him and attempts to make him talk, but Dugan refuses. That gets him killed. When getting rid of the body, by feeding it to the pigs, Henry notices a gang mark on Dugan's skin. Then, he takes care of Wyatt's wound while avoiding his son's question about his past. Wyatt does not think his father respects him enough, so Henry can expect the same. He checks on Curry, who is passed out dreaming the same dream. Then, he walks out with his rifle ready for the worst. On sunup, Ketchum and Stillwell capture Al, who went for bird hunting. Al refuses to tell him anything about Henry, and when he tries to escape he gets knocked out. Meanwhile, Curry prepares to leave with the help of Henry and Wyatt. But he can barely walk or ride a horse. So, he asks them to leave while he takes care of things alone. Although Wyatt wants to stay and defend his home, Henry makes him get ready to come with him. When they walk outside, they face Ketchum and Stillwell backed by many hired guns. Henry and Wyatt get back inside and Ketchum offers a deal. He'll let them walk away in exchange for Curry. Henry rejects the offer, so Ketchum reveals captured Al, hurt and bleeding. Mad, Henry gets his rifle, hands Wyatt the gun, instructing him to keep away from the window and to use it only when absolutely necessary. Curry pleads to be handed over, but Henry confronts Ketchum, who admits he is not a sheriff but curious to know who Henry really is. Henry turns down Ketchum's offer to trade Al for Curry. Since neither of them reveals the truth, Ketchum coldly shoots Al. Irate, Wyatt jumps out and starts shooting. Henry drags him back inside, but the gangsters retaliate, wounding Curry on the leg. Henry scolds his son for acting impulsively and tells him to keep his head down. Hearing these exact words as in his dream, Curry finally realizes Henry's real identity. He must be Billy the Kid, who didn't die in the fire that night but somehow escaped. Without paying attention to him, Henry retrieves his old gun and holster and rushes out shooting. Relentlessly with precision, Henry kills several gangsters and jumps back to the house, opening a hole for Curry to shoot through as well. The remaining gangsters surround the house. Henry grabs a knife and sneaks the back door. Quietly, he stabs two of them and then he crawls under the house to shoot a third one. He faces Stillwell, who goes for his knife, but Henry shoots him first. Ketchum, left now alone hiding behind the pig pen, manages to shoot Henry on the shoulder. He runs into the woods, dragging Ketchum behind him. Hiding behind trees, they exchange several shots. Henry manages to hit Ketchum on the leg and shoulder. As Henry approaches him, Ketchum shoots him once more, but Henry finishes him for good. Fortunately, the wounds are not serious. So, Henry goes back to help Curry with his injuries. When he tears off Curry's sleeve to check his arm wound, surprised he discovers the same gang mark Dugan had. Curry shoots Henry for seeing it. He confesses that he was indeed a sheriff but a corrupt one. He and his deputies had worked with Ketchum in the past, but they got wind of Ketchum planning to kill them during their last job. So, Curry attempted to escape but got wounded. Henry, agonizing, still hangs on, but Curry wants to be the one who killed Billy the Kid. However, before pulling the trigger, Wyatt shoots and kills him first. He wants to get a doctor to save his father, but Henry says it's too late. He simply wants to tell his son a few last words. Wyatt will hear lots of stories out there about Billy the Kid. Henry wants him to know only half of them are true. Admitting not having been a good person, he does not believe in redemption. He just tried to find some solace in raising a good boy. Although Henry does not think he has a place in this new world, he is sure Wyatt does. Wyatt weeps over his father's death and buries him next to his mother's grave. He packs up and leaves the farm to travel as he always wanted. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment or feedback and subscribe for more. Cheers.